Good afternoon and welcome to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. This is our weekly call-in town hall and radio show. That's right. This is a call-in town hall with your state representative. So feel free to call in 804-454-1366. You can ask your question right here. And I'm State Senator Amanda Chase. I'm your weekly radio show host. I serve you at the state level. And my office is at the state capitol in downtown Richmond. I want to go ahead and really cut to the chase today because I have Congressman Brat, who is on the line right here, and we're going to get an update from the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman Dave Brat. We're going to talk to him the first 30 minutes of the hour, and then we're going to have Kevin Carroll, who's the president of the Fraternal Order Police of Virginia, and also Sergeant with Chesterfield County Police Department, to talk about a rash of break-ins that we're having in Chesterfield, and we're hoping to get to the Matoaka Mega Industrial Center site that so many of you have written and called me about. So let's go ahead and see if we've got Congressman Brat on the phone. Congressman Brat.
Hey, Senator Chase, how you doing?
Great. The question is, how are things going with you? How are things in D.C.?
Well, we're making some progress. The budget, we voted yes on the budget today, and that basically it wasn't a traditional budget where you have all the numbers in it. It was just to allow the tax piece to move forward. And so last time I was on, we were a little skeptical of whether we were going to be able to see the details, but they did come out with a pretty good sense of what tax reform is going to look like, and the basic outline looks pretty good for the C Corps. We're going to be competitive again with the rest of the world. Then the S Corp, the small business pass-throughs, are going to do very well under this. And then hopefully most all of the middle class will for sure see a tax cut. And that's hard to pull off without, hitting the deficit button too hard.
So let me ask you.
It looks pretty good.
I know last week we were talking about that the plan that they had was going to add $20 trillion to our national debt. Did they change that, or is that still part of the package?
Now, this one is about $1.5 trillion, and most of that we're going to try to pay for, but a combination of some spending stuff and then some economic growth, and we'll see if we can get there. But our goal is to get there and try to pay for most all of it.
Okay.
And then in the Senate, of course, that's always the bigger challenge right now. I think in the House we'll come out with a pretty good product, but then the Senate, who knows? It's just a little crazy over there right now. They don't seem to be able to get their act together. So hopefully they do on tax.
Yeah, let's hope so. So if we had to go through, so we were talking about last time we were talking about the small and the large businesses are going to get the tax cuts, and they've defined the rich as anyone with income above $480,000. And we were saying last week that the tax cut would be like 39.6% to 35%. Is that still on the table, or is that?
Yeah, and they are debating what to do with that top bracket on the high income folks, because Trump ran on a middle class tax cut,
right?
And he's made a few comments about keeping the top rate the same, so that the upper income wouldn't get a tax cut. Most standard Republicans just want to see everybody get a tax cut. And the upper income folks are going to end up doing pretty well on this because you get rid of the death tax, you get rid of the alternative minimum tax, and you get the S Corp good news, as well as the LLCs and the C Corp, and so everything looks good there.
Okay.
And so, but what you were asking about is going to be the key. There's only so much you can do to cut taxes because they make you pay for those. It's a crazy world up in D.C. where you have to pay to give people their money back, but that's the way the swamp operates.
Well, I understand, because when I put in the corporate income tax and lowering it from 6% to 2.5% to be competitive with North Carolina, they did not take into account economic growth. And why do we want to lower the corporate income tax? Because we want to bring jobs here. That's just so y'all understand, because I know some people are like, why are we lowering the corporate income tax? We want jobs back in the U.S. So we've got the federal tax, corporate income tax. We've got the state corporate income tax. I mean, people are just getting taxed at the federal level, the state level. It's just crazy. So let's start with the middle class. Now, last time we talked, there were three tax brackets: the 12%, 25% and 35%. Have they defined yet what would be considered middle class as far as, you know, amount of income they
No,
bring in or anything?
no, and that's the glaring missing piece right now. We don't know what the brackets are and who will fit in those brackets. And so in Virginia, average family income is just 60 grand. So we might say the middle class is, from 40 to 80 or 90 or something like that. And then in New Jersey and New York, they would have a radically different view, right? In San Francisco and L.A. And so that's going to be part of the debate. And if you start saying that the middle class goes all the way from 30 all the way up to 250 and try to give a massive tax cut there, then you'll drive the deficit through the roof.
Yeah.
And so that'll be the challenge. And you want to maintain the pro-growth piece. The growth piece is coming from what you just said, making us competitive. So, at the state level, you don't leapfrog over Virginia and bring your business to North Carolina. Right now, we have major U.S. companies leapfrogging us out of the U.S. going to Ireland, who has, about a 13% corporate rate. When we're at 35. And so it doesn't take, an economic genius to do the math on that. We need to get competitive, and that's very pro-growth. And then lowering the corporate rate will allow them to invest more in capital equipment, and that's the major driver of jobs and economic growth. And, the last election was basically about wage rates, right? The average American blue-collar worker that works hard every day, they haven't seen wages go up in 30 to 40 years. It's just a very moderate or flat wage growth, and that's because we haven't done anything that's pro-business.
So
and the other side of the aisle, you know how the politics is, right? We haven't gotten into that at all, but the other side of the aisle, if you say you want to help business, the other side of the aisle is not for that. And it's just shocking that a lot of our business friends still vote across the aisle when they're being pretty tough on small business right now.
What is their big objection? I mean, why, if you're a business owner, and I mean, is it a lack of Democrats who are small business owners? I mean, have they just been up, the congressmen who are Democrats up there, they've just never been in the business world, or what do you think it is? I mean,
I don't know. I don't think that. I think there's plenty of, Democrats who are fine people who go to church with good Democrat friends, but they just maybe don't get how important economic growth is and where it comes from. The Democrats will often say, well, we can improve the schools or education, and that will lead to economic growth. And we just had 12 world famous economists up yesterday. I talked to all of them, University of Chicago, Harvard, Stanford, everywhere, right? And I asked them about that. I said, do you have any evidence, right, that education reform or whatever can enhance economic growth? And they said, no, that's tax. You're only going to do that through tax in the short to intermediate run, right? If you could radically change productivity in education, and that would take 10 to 20 years, they said, then you might be able to make a dent there, right? But right now the kids are not being taught about business at all. They're not being trained in. The German-speaking countries in Europe are doing very well. They're killing us on all this apprenticeships and training and real-world skills, and their skills advantage results in a wage advantage for everyone with skills. And so we need to learn to implement some of that very soon, but it's very hard to make inroads. I know you know that. You're the expert on education at the state level.
Well, I don't know about that, but I definitely am very vested in education, having 2 kids still in public schools right now and 2 that have already graduated. So as a mom of 4, I'm very much vested, and it's very close and near to my heart. We're going to go to a break real quick, and you're going to be able to stay on until the half of the hour. Okay, fantastic. And when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about taxes and how they affect you, the people, our listeners. You'll want to tune in. We've got a lot on the table today to talk about, not only finances, but at the end of the hour, we're also going to be talking about all the break-ins that are taking place in Chesterfield and beyond. I've got Kevin Carroll, Fraternal Order of Police, coming on at the end. We're always going to try to break this down for you all so y'all understand how this is hitting your pocketbook. We're going to try to keep things simple for you and show you how these the GOP tax plan is going to help everyday average people. And so I'm very thankful to have Congressman Brat, PhD in economics, with us today. And I'm so thankful that you're there and able to talk to those economic experts. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about that. I want to talk more about the standard deductions, and last week we were talking about them doubling, so I want to see if that's still the case. So stay tuned.
Sure.
We'll be right back right after the break.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155.
The Chesterfield County Colonial Heights Crime Solvers program wants to help law enforcement identify a shoplifter. On at least 4 separate occasions between August 11th and September 14th, a male suspect stole flat-screen televisions from the Target in Chester. In each case, the suspect loaded a television onto a shopping cart and walked out of the store, bypassing the registers. The suspect is a white male. He has a bald head and a mustache goatee on his face. In at least one of the thefts, he was accompanied by a white female and a small child. Well, you can see pictures of the suspect and his car at crimesolvers.net or on Facebook at crimesolverscch. If you can identify him, or if you have information about any unsolved crime in or fugitive wanted by Chesterfield or Colonial Heights, submit a tip through the Crime Solvers hotline 748-0660 or through the new P3 app. Either way, you will remain anonymous, and if your tip helps, you could receive a cash reward. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and take the time to solve the crime.
Attention! Sorry I'm talking a little loud because I want to reach people with a hearing problem. Do you want to hear better for just $299? Yes, not thousands, but for $299, you can hear all the sounds you've been missing for years. Hearing Help Express has been helping people hear better, selling top-quality hearing aids for over 30 years. Now's your best chance to hear better with hearing aids for only $299, plus a free 45-day home trial offer, and you don't even need to leave your home or get a hearing test. Call now to start your risk-free 45-day home trial offer. Call 888-451-2042. 888-451-2042 for free hearing help consultation. Learn how Hearing Help Express can improve the quality of your life. Visit us online now at hearinghelp.com or call 888-451-2042. 888-451-2042.
Before a trip, you program your destination into the GPS. You need the best directions to get where you want to be.
You will arrive at your retirement in 8
It's the same for retirement. You need a voice to guide you. In Richmond, that voice is Isaac Wright. Join him every Saturday at 3 and Sunday at noon on WNTW 820 The Answer. Isaac's experience can help your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street. Take the first step by tuning in Saturdays at 3 and Sundays at noon for Retire Right with Isaac Wright.
Arriving at your retirement.
Welcome back to Cut to the Chase with State Senator Amanda Chase and Congressman Dave Brat on the phone today. And I'm looking at your Facebook page, and you said Democratic leaders claim that Republicans are sabotaging insurance markets, but their attempts to deflect from the truth won't fly. There are no markets, only government-run monopolies or near monopolies. More bailouts of Washington, D.C. created and mandated failure is not a solution. Democrats have a proven failed system. We need a new, better system that offers real choice and a lower-priced health care for all Americans. The American people did not elect Republicans to prop up Obamacare just long enough to usher in a government-run single-payer health care system for all. We need to keep working together to find a real health care solution that is sustainable and affordable over the long run. Very well said. Very well said. So we're still, grappling over the whole issue with healthcare as well.
Yep.
And, our offices have been working together. It looks like we've got some carriers now with Anthem coming back. We've got Optima back in the game. They've submitted their rates to the Bureau of Insurance. And so now we have providers. But here's the challenge, y'all. December 31st, the good news is that you're not going to get a letter in the mail saying that you're not going to have insurance anymore and not be able to re-enroll if you have the individual plan. Your rates are going to go up. Your premiums are going to go up 60%. That's a lot. That's a lot for the average family. My concern is that people are going to keep coming to the emergency rooms to get care if they don't have insurance. They've been doing that for a long time, and that's only going to exacerbate the problem. And so Congressman Brat and I have been working tirelessly on this issue. Yes, Obamacare has failed, and it's imploding on itself. We have 450,000, depending on the numbers who you talk to, 65,000 to 450,000 Virginians who are on this individual plan, who are in this situation, and we're trying to get the message out there so you all can be prepared and have alternative solutions. One of the things that we've talked about is healthcare is very different than healthcare insurance. So don't panic. Talk to your doctor. They do negotiate with you. I know I've known people, including in my own family, who went with a period of time where they didn't have a job. They were in between jobs, and they simply negotiated with their doctors. So, what is the latest in D.C. on healthcare and healthcare reform?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you're way ahead of the curve compared to most of my colleagues, and so I applaud you. You were keeping me up to date on a lot of the regional updates and the expertise that you found in our region, people that were just great, giving us good input and allowing us to communicate and help educate our constituents. But we had one last bite at the apple a couple weeks ago with a block grant idea that didn't do much to solve the problem, but at least it would have brought it down to the state level where people like you can come up with some solutions. And unfortunately, that failed too. The Senate hasn't been able to get to a yes vote on anything. And so we're kind of at an end there. And then I wasn't happy with the initial Republican plans. They were just more big government. Mm-hmm. And we had some input finally on that bill, and we got the price to go down a little bit. But it's going down a little bit from what you just said. Under Obamacare, now the rates are going up in a lot of cases 50, 60% we've been hearing are the latest quotes coming out this year on the individual market. And some people are confused and they think the Republicans did that, and it's not. And then some people will say, well, you're not bailing it out enough. And so it just goes to show the problem. You're going to have it's like doing big bank bailouts.
Right.
Is the last thing that was like this. We're going to have to bail out huge companies. When you and I met, I think they were telling us most of the biggies were still making $2 billion in profit per year.
That's
you
right.
remember it? Was that the number? It was something like
that. Yeah, it was a big number. I don't remember it right off. I don't.
Right, and we're going to bail out firms that are making $2 billion in profits per year per firm.
Yeah,
and our constituents aren't going to be in love with that plan. And so that's the latest update.
Well, let me tell you what I've been working on. I've been meeting with some CEOs of some health insurance companies. I've been meeting with a number of people on the front lines, and I feel like what we need to focus on, because it's the cost of healthcare that just continues to go up, and I think it's because of the lack of transparency.
Right.
And I just equate this to, and maybe people can relate to this, when you go to the doctor and you get the form from your doctor that says that you're basically going to pay for whatever your insurance company does not pay for. And then you have to sign your name on the dotted line. And I've always thought to myself, so what is that number? What does that number look like? You know, it's kind of like signing a blank check. So let's put an end to that. So like, how can we put an end to that? So I'm working on a bill at the state level, and maybe you can help me on the federal level. Maybe we can replicate this at the federal level. That would basically say Whenever you go to buy a car, you at least know a starting point of what you're going to start with. We have no idea with healthcare. What does it cost for a hip replacement? What does it cost for a C-section? And a lot of times the healthcare professionals will say, well, it depends on your insurance. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take the insurance out of it. Just tell me off the cuff, what is, outside of complications, what is a hip replacement going to cost? What is that number? I mean, they have these numbers because of the Medicaid reimbursements and the cost to, for the insurance. They have that. I can't remember what it's called right now. Do you remember what it's called? Anyway, there is a number that they already have out there that they can use through Medicaid. It's reimbursement cost or something. And so maybe we can start with a number. But I think we owe it to consumers. I mean, you don't go to Walmart and just fill your basket up with the things that you need and hope for the best that you have the money when you get, when you get to the checkout, say, oh God, if you had cash, I mean, right now we're like the federal, we just have our credit card, we just charge whatever it is and move forward. And I'm like, maybe if we had cash, when we go into Walmart and we have to know how much we're spending, we'll be a little bit better consumers and kind of price shop. But we can't even price shop. You know what I mean? So I'm working on healthcare cost transparency on the front end, so the consumer can shop doctors, they can shop across, different physicians, different whatever. And I know that we still have to work out all the pieces, and I will be working with the medical community to come out with something that's viable. But I just think it's ludicrous to ask people to sign a blank check whenever they need something and not be able to shop around. And I think that eventually competition is going to drive down that cost because we can shop around. And, when you can shop around, if you go to buy a car and you say, well, hey, I can get this car at this dealership for this amount, what can you do? Let's work. Let's start there. Let's do something.
Well, and that's and what you're getting at, that is the basis of free markets. And you read my piece, and I started off saying the opposition will say we need to help the Obamacare healthcare markets work, and they say it with a straight face. And I think people know, I don't fudge, there are no markets. Right? You have to have competition and a lot of firms and a lot of competitors to have markets. And so that's what a market is. It brings together buyers and sellers, right? And not a monopoly. Yeah. And right now you were ahead of the curve on all that. So when Anthem left, we were going to have regions of Virginia with no market, with no coverage, not even a monopoly.
That's right.
And so you're doing the first piece of what markets do, and that is they collect information, and we call that information the price. And that price conveys a ton of knowledge. It's not just that people care about the price, but that price conveys what you're talking about. What it's going to convey all sorts of reputations of doctors and insurance companies and products, et cetera. And that's what markets do, is convey all that knowledge compacted down into one price. And if we don't have price information, so I applaud you for what you're doing. That's the first step that we absolutely have to have. If consumers need to know what they're buying, what the price is.
Amen to that. Congressman Brat, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We love having your updates. And Congressman Brat's going to be back.
Love it.
It's going to be back.
Thank you, Senator Chase. Great job.
Thank you, Congressman Brat. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break with Kevin Carroll, Fraternal Order President of Virginia. Welcome back to Cut to the Chase with State Senator Amanda Chase. And I have here in the studio today, I have Sergeant Kevin Carroll, who is a sergeant for Chesterfield County Police Department. He is also the president of the Fraternal Order Police of Virginia. And Kevin, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
I should say Sergeant Carroll.
Kevin's fine.
I'm used to calling you Kevin. But
I've been called worse.
There have been so many break-ins recently, and even this is affecting my neighborhood. I know it's affecting a number of the people in our listening audience. The break-ins, I've never seen anything like it in the 17 years that I've lived here in Chesterfield County, and all of a sudden it just seems like, and I understand because we've done shows on the opioid and heroin crisis. I know that is related to that. That would be my suspicion anyway. Can you confirm that?
Well, you're exactly right. In order to buy drugs, you have to have money or something to trade for it. And so many of the people that are addicted to the different types of drugs are committing these type of offenses. They get their hands on easily tradable things and trade them for drugs or trade them for money. Go to a pawn shop. Someone may just sell it on eBay. A bunch of different things they do to get rid of the items. Jewelry, for instance, taking it to a pawn shop. So, yes, I believe that what we found is a lot of the people we end up arresting for these offenses, when we finally get them, are hooked on drugs, and they're desperate, and so they're out breaking into cars. And my advice to people is lock your car. Don't leave anything in your car at night that you don't want to see anymore. And look, we live in a very safe community, but there are people traveling that are addicted to drugs that travel from community to community. We've arrested people that have come all the way down from Chesapeake to break into cars in Chesterfield County. So, in an ideal world, you could leave your car unlocked and leave everything in it and no one would take it. But unfortunately, there are people out there right now that are going from neighborhood to neighborhood, and it takes just a second to open someone's door and reach in. And if for all those concealed carry permit people, don't leave your gun in the car. Take it in the house with you. It doesn't do you any good in the car at night if someone tries to break in your house and you need it for self-defense. Bring the gun in the house. Don't leave your computers in the car. Or there are so many items that are being readily taken. And if you have, if you buy a new car or new computer as an example, or a gun, right? Take a picture of it. Take a picture of the serial number and a good picture of the product, a digital image, and save it. Because if someone steals it, we're going to ask you, what's the serial number on your computer? What's the serial number on your cell phone? What's the serial number on your 50-inch flat screen that just got stolen out of the house? And you're like, I don't know. So take pictures of all these items, store them on the cloud so that if someone breaks into your house and takes your valuables, we have an opportunity to get them back for you, because a lot of times someone's going to come across these things, whether it's in a pawn shop or elsewhere, and sometimes we actually will do a search warrant somewhere, and there'll be a bunch of flat-screen TVs, and we look at them, well, we don't know where they came from, and we can't track the serial numbers because no one had that information to give the police when we took the report. So any type of item that you buy, find jewelry, take pictures of it. So that if it is taken to a pawn shop, we can go there with the pictures and look to see if your stuff is there. It's just the world that we live in these days. There are unfortunately a lot of people who are out looking to take your stuff.
It's interesting. Before we came on the air, Kevin and I were talking about this, and I said, whenever I go to a park or if I have to work out or go to an event, I don't want to carry my big purse with me because I'll be talking to people, and I always talk with my hands. So I got to have my hands free, right?
Yep, most of us do.
So I leave my purse in the car and I put it in the trunk and I lock it up. But you're saying don't do that.
Well, a lot of vehicles have the ability to have an electronic release for the trunk now. Years ago, you actually had to use a key to get in the trunk, or now a lot of the key fobs have a release for the trunk, but many of the vehicles have a button on the inside of the vehicle. So if they get in there and they hit the button, they're going to get in the trunk of your car. And if they really if they see, and a lot of this happens many times, like for instance, recently we had vehicles broken into one of our parks where they actually went in and smashed the windows out to take the things out of the cars. Well, if they smash the window, all they have to do is hit the button and get in the trunk, and they're going to take your stuff.
And it's interesting, too, because, let's see, I've got Jay on the line who wants to talk about the difference between home and car break-in precautions. So, Jay, are you there? Let's see.
And I am, and thank you, Senator Chase and Sergeant Carroll. Just as Senator Chase mentioned, and you guys have been talking a lot about the break-ins in the cars and what we can do to prevent that, but I live in the same neighborhood as Senator Chase, and just within the last couple of days, I know there was an increased police presence recently, but what is it that we could do at home I understand what we could do with the cars, lock them up, make them harder to get to, but my home's where it's at. Exactly. I'm not sure what I can do to improve security there, and is it the same type of criminals doing it? Is it people who are drug-seeking, looking for stuff to sell, or is there something else going on?
Jay, we're going to answer that question. We got to go to a quick break, but stay tuned, because we'll be right back right after the break.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155.
The Old Dominion football team is back after the bye, ready to roll into Conference USA play. Bobby Wilder's 2-2 Monarchs are home this week to take on the Owls of FAU. Hi, this is Ted Alexander. Join Andy Mishaw, Doug Ripley, and me for all the action live from Foreman Field at SB Ballard Stadium Saturday. Pre-game coverage begins Saturday afternoon at 5 right here on the ODU Sports Radio Network.
WNTW 820 AM and 97.7 FM The Answer. Proud home of Old Dominion University football.
If your financial plan is even slightly out of tune, you may be paying too much for taxes, exposing yourself to too much risk, or retiring without a sound income plan. Listen to WNTW AM 820 The Answer on Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 8:30 a.m. to Financially Tuned with Big John Pulowski of Norseman Advisory Group. You can contact Big John at 757-223-1559 or visit the website at norsemanagi.com.
5 days a week at the crack of dawn, John Fredericks gives you exclusive world-class nonstop coverage of our political madhouse. But what does he do on a Saturday? J-Fred. Saturday, noon till 3, it's the all-new Best of John Fredericks show. Best guests, best interviews, Best of John Fredericks. Saturdays at noon on WNTW AM 820 The Answer.
That ad you just heard, it could have been yours. That's right, you could have just heard your ad instead of some other guys. On AM 820 and 97.7 FM, you can reach more potential customers, many just like you, who can add dollars to your bottom line. Our team will work with you to make the perfect ad for your business. So give us a call at 804-717-2000. That's 804-717-2000. Your first step to becoming a household name.
Before the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People was the Dale Carnegie course. Now, after 104 years, over 8 million people experience Dale Carnegie courses. People like Warren Buffett and Ronald Reagan. The Dale Carnegie experience uses proven techniques to permanently unlock the potential of top talent, making individuals into inspiring leaders and groups into high-performing teams, while reducing the financial and emotional costs of employee turnover. For more information, visit DaleCarnegieRichmond.com. That's
Welcome back to Cut to the Chase with State Senator Amanda Chase. This is our weekly call-in town hall and radio show, and I have a special segment this week with Sergeant Kevin Carroll, president of the Fraternal Order Police of Virginia. He's also former detective. Jay asked a good question right before we went to the break, and I'm sorry we had to go to a break, Jay. But the question was, he wanted to talk more about what is the difference between home and car break-in precautions and what we need to do. So I'm going to hand that over to you, Sergeant Carroll.
Jay, you still there?
I am.
Okay. So, there's some great technology that's available now that wasn't years ago. You've probably seen it advertised on TV. There are, example, wireless cameras that you can hook into your network at the house that work in conjunction with floodlights. So if someone walks into your property that's not supposed to be there, it'll start recording, and it'll light them up. You get good video. It's a good quality object, and it also sends a signal directly to your smartphone to tell you that someone's actually appeared in your video camera. There are video systems you can buy for the outside of the house that cover the entire exterior. Again, they tie into your network at the house, whether you have hardwire or wireless, and then that also can be sent to a remote computer where if you're at work, you can actually monitor it at work. You can watch the cameras at work, or you can watch it on your phone, or it'll send alerts to your phone. So there's really great technology, and I tell people there's also alarm companies. There are many different alarm companies out there. I don't get a commission, so I'm not going to mention any names. But there are many alarm companies out there that also provide great services to the community that if your house is broken into, they're going to alert, and they're going to call the police, and we're going to respond. So, the camera systems that are real-time are a little more expensive up front, but you don't have a long-term cost on that. And then, of course, it's, talk with your neighbors. Some neighbors may be home during the day, and they may actually notice people walking around. What I mentioned about your community is there are probably people in your neighborhood now who have these type of systems who I'd like them to review their systems. Although their house wasn't broken into, they may actually have video on their system where someone came to look at their house or attempt to and said, nope, they got a camera, we're going to go somewhere else, which will help us to solve these crimes. Does that kind of help you with what your question was?
It does, thank you. And also, with respect to the difference between the car break-ins and the home break-ins, is it this? Do you believe it's the same types of people? Folks that are looking to get drug money, or it just seems to me like from a home break-in versus a car break-in is a little bit more invasive, more planned out, I would think.
You would think that, but when I worked undercover years ago, one of the things that I did is I actually followed people who did this type of thing, and we actually watched them. So you get to study human behavior. And unfortunately, human behavior is very erratic when you're under the influence of drugs, and there's really not a lot of clear thinking going on. It's all a matter of, I need to get this so I can sell it, so I can get my drugs, so I can get my fix. And so really when you're talking about the property crime where someone's going to break into the car or break into the house, sometimes those people are morally conflicted about wanting to do it, but they have to do it because they have to get their fix. So it gets worse when people are committing armed robberies with guns and actually robbing directly from people as an individual. That's a little bit more risky, and it's more at stake for the individual doing it, and a lot more at stake for the poor citizen who's getting robbed. But no, I mean, a lot of this is drug-driven. Unfortunately, it's always been that way, where people are desperate and they want to take your stuff so they can sell it, and it's very seldom that we've arrested the guy and said, well, I needed to buy Christmas gifts for the kids. That's why I broke into the house. No, it's usually I needed some drugs.
And I'm telling you, it is just a growing crisis, and it's something that we've covered on our Cut to the Chase show, just talking about the opioid and heroin. It's past crisis. I mean, the number of people that are actually dying from overdose exceeds the number of car accidents, which is just astronomical.
Well, if I can throw this in, parents, watch what your kids are doing at night. A lot of the larceny from motor vehicles that we have are from kids that sneak out of the house. Oh, Mom, I'm going to go stay at so-and-so's. Oh, they're going to stay at so-and-so's. And neither one of them is staying at so-and-so's because they're out breaking into cars at night because they got nothing better to do. And so check your kids' rooms. Make sure they don't have things that they're not supposed to have that belong to somebody else that they've taken. If more parents did that, we'd probably solve a lot more of these larceny from motor vehicles, because many times the kids go out at night and it's just, hey, how many cars can we hit tonight? Now, the kids that are coming in from other localities, again, our officers are very proactive. They're in the community at night. They're looking for people that are trying to break into cars at night. So, while you're asleep, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep you safe and keep your stuff safe. But the county is rather large, and we need more police officers. And so we're doing the best we can.
Awesome. Jay, did you have any other questions? That's a very good question. Okay, very good. So, we are doing our best as things happen and news happens so quickly, and I'm doing my best to bring the latest news to you. One of the other issues that we were talking about was the Matoaka mega site, and a number of you had written my office actually quite upset about this potential mega site. They say it's about 1,600 acres of land south of Route 10 in Chester, located in Chesterfield County. This land was once planned to be part of a huge residential project, but that fell through. And now they're looking to rezone this to attract some type of manufacturing to the county. Chesterfield County officials, Board of Supervisors, planning commissioners have had a number of meetings to listen to constituents. And, I am a pro-growth, pro-business growth. I know everybody needs a job so that they can earn a living, so that they are not stealing. They're earning an honest living and being able to provide for their family. But it's got to be done the right way. And as I'm talking to constituents, I have increasingly become more concerned about this project. I would not say that I'm in support of this. I actually say I'm very concerned about what is being proposed here. Now, Kevin was actually at several of the meetings, and I wanted you to give us a brief recap from your observation.
Well, I mean, certainly the citizens that were there are very concerned about the proposal because of the location and the proposed roadway that's going to be put in order to support it, the increased in traffic. I mean, there are a lot of positive things to go with this. I just think the county needs a lot of answers that they have to provide to the people that they're asking. For instance, what's the cost? What's going to be the overall cost? And we're not reinventing the wheel here. There are other communities that have already done this throughout the country, some of them which have actually been featured in the program that they show. So let's find out what those communities had to spend in order for this outlay. And because, I mean, again, there is a potential here for what they're saying, $1 billion investment in Chesterfield County, which would bring good tax dollars in, good money in, good jobs in for people. It would also bring in people from around the country to work there, which means some of the houses that are vacant and for sale would be sold, and we'd have more diverse community. So there are a lot of positive benefits, but I think they need to there's a lot of answers that need to be answered for the citizens about what they're trying to do. And what I saw the other night was a lot of talking, but not a lot of answers. But they've got some more meetings coming up. They'll have about a month or so to prepare, and hopefully they'll have answers. Doesn't mean that the people are going to like it. I mean, there are some people who are adamantly against it because it's a nice little community down there. They don't want to have a big industrial site thrown in where their houses are.
And just so you all know, I did contact Dr. Casey, and we are in the process of scheduling either he will come on the show or he will send someone from economic development so that you all can call in and ask your questions. And we will stay on top of this. I am meeting with constituents over the coming weeks. My aide is already setting up appointments. So if you're interested, please contact my office. My contact information is online, and we will be right back with Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase.
Why do I have a problem with millennials? And I'm sick and tired of hearing the word, and I'm sick and tired of catering to them, and I'm sick and tired of hearing what they think, because they don't think. All they do is spew the data that they get off an iPhone or what's been put into their silly little heads in the public schools.
Tune in to the Savage Nation, weekdays, here on Richmond's Choice for Conservative Talk Radio, WNTW 820, The Answer.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155.
The Old Dominion football team is back after the bye, ready to roll into Conference USA play. Bobby Wilder's 2-2 Monarchs are home this week to take on the Owls of FAU. Hi, this is Ted Alexander. Join Andy Mishaw, Doug Ripley, and me for all the action live from Foreman Field at SB Ballard Stadium Saturday. Pre-game coverage begins Saturday afternoon at 5 right here on the ODU Sports Radio Network.
WNTW 820 AM and 97.7 FM, The Answer. Proud home of Old Dominion University football.
Get your daily inspiration on our sister station, the Truth Network of Richmond, on AM 590 and 107.7 FM. The Truth Network is now on 107.7 FM, just up the dial. For 24 hours of encouragement, enjoy 107.7 FM. Realign your focus on the most important things. Just turn your dial to our sister station, the Truth Network of Richmond, on 590 AM and 107.7 FM.
Before a trip, you program your destination into the GPS. You need the best directions to get where you want to be.
You will arrive at your retirement in 8
It's the same for retirement. You need a voice to guide you. In Richmond, that voice is Isaac Wright. Join him every Saturday at 3 and Sunday at noon on WNTW 820 The Answer. Isaac's experience can help your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street. Take the first step by tuning in Saturdays at 3 and Sundays at noon for Retire Right with Isaac Wright.
Arriving at your retirement.
That ad you just heard, it could have been yours. That's right, you could have just heard your ad instead of some other guys. On AM 820 and 97.7 FM, you can reach more potential customers, many just like you, who can add dollars to your bottom line. Our team will work with you to make the perfect ad for your business. So give us a call at 804-717-2000. That's 804-717-2000. Your first step to becoming a household name.
We're back on the final segment of Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, our weekly call-in town hall and radio show. And I don't normally advertise my radio show on my neighborhood website, but we were having so many issues this week. I don't even know many of them know that I even have this radio show, because I really do try to respect that my neighborhood doesn't want to be political. But appreciate Sergeant Kevin Carroll for coming in and talking about the rash of break-ins that we've had. It's just very disconcerting. I do want to remind you that first of all, I know everyone in our community votes, right? Everybody's out there registered to vote. Remember, it's the first Tuesday in November. That's when you vote. November the 7th is the first Tuesday in November this year. It's the general election. You're going to be voting for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and we have a number of House races on there. I am not up this year, but I encourage you to get out and vote. And so some of you need to update your update your address because you've moved. So you have till October the 16th to register to vote. So you need to go ahead and take care of that. Also, if you have not registered to vote, I had an 18-year-old someone that in my house that turned 18 years old this year. So I had my son to go to the registrar's office, and they registered him to vote. And you must be a resident of Virginia, be a U.S. citizen, be 18 years old, or if you're 17 years old, but you'll be 18 on the day of the general election, you can actually register to vote. You can't be registered to vote in another state. You must be mentally competent. And also, if you've ever been convicted of a felony, unless your rights have been restored, you have to have your rights restored to vote. So where is the registrar's office? Let's say you live in Chesterfield. It's off of Laurie Road near the county administrator building. You can just do a Google search for Virginia Department of Elections. So some of you are calling from I know the station, our listening audience covers probably a quarter of Virginia now. But you can actually do a Google search for the Virginia Department of Elections. Just type in elections, deadlines, Virginia. I mean, it'll pull it up. The deadline to request an absentee ballot is 5 p.m. on Tuesday, October the 31st. Your request must be received by your registrar for your county by 5 p.m. So, what are some of those reasons? Because you do have to have a reason to vote absentee. You can be a college student. You can be out of town on business.
Law enforcement officer working.
That's right, law enforcement working. There are a number of different reasons, and there's so many of them that I want you to go to the Virginia Department of Elections website to take a look at those. So they're all listed right there. I can't believe the show has already come to an end here. I want to remind you to join us next Thursday for Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase on WNTW, The Answer. And we're going to continue. Hopefully, we'll be able to have Dr. Casey on the show next week. We're still trying to confirm a date to discuss the Matoaka mega site, but it's coming. So those of you, that's your issue. If there are other issues, go to my website, chaseforsenate.com. My contact information is all on there. Email me with your questions, concerns, and we'll take a look at it. Until next Thursday, stay tuned.